In this lesson, we're going to take a look at writing linear inequations in slope-intercept form from a graph. All right, so let's go back to the steps in writing the equations in slope-intercept form. The first step, remember, we're always going to calculate the slope. Step 2, we're going to be finding the y-intercept. And step 3, we're going to write the equation of the line in y is equal to mx plus b form. Example 1, how to identify the slope and the y-intercept from a graph. All right, so a couple of things. Remember that when we were finding the slope from a graph, that we were using the rise L over run. And the other thing to remember that the y-intercept is the place where the line crosses the y-axis. So right here is the y-intercept. All right, so let's go ahead and let's identify the slope and the y-intercept for each of these. So again, when you're finding the slope, we're going to identify 2 points. And I'm going to take this point, and I would probably take this point right here. And I'm going to then find the rise L of the run. So our slope, rise L over run. I'm going to go up 1, and I'm going over 3. So my slope for this line is 1 all over 3. And then our y-intercept, notice that that is going through the origin right here. So our b is equal to 0. All right, for our second one, our slope, now notice that this is a negative slope. So I'm starting right here, and I think I'll take, I should maybe right here. All right, so rise L over run. I'm going down 2, so I have a negative 2, and then I'm going over 1, so my slope is going to be negative 2. And then our y-intercept is where the line crosses on the y-axis, and notice that we're starting it right here at that 4 on the y-axis, so our y-intercept is 4. All right, our next one, let's see, I think I'll pick this point and maybe this point right here. And again, it's rise L over run. These you have to be careful with. Remember, you're going up not 2, but up 20. So my slope, I went up 20, and then I'm going over 4. So I'll just divide. 20 divided by 4 is going to give me a 5. So my slope is 5. And then our y-intercept in this one, notice how it's starting down there at the origin, so then that would be a 0. And our last one here is we're identifying the slope and the y-intercept. Let's see. I think I'll take this point and this point right here. All right, so and I need to notice these are going down by 2s, or up by 2s here. So I'm going down 2, 4, 6. So I have a negative 6. And then I'm going over 4. So I can leave it as negative 6 all over 4. I could also simplify it to negative 3 all over 2. So either one is just fine. And then our y-intercept, well, this one, it started on the 10, so our y-intercept would be 10. All right, so now it says, how are we going to write an equation of the line given a graph? So again, let's go back to that equation, or the formula, y is equal to mx plus b. And so, again, this is my slope, and this is my y-intercept. And maybe you're noticing that these are the same problems as we had just up above. So we've identified already the slope and the y-intercept. Remember, we said we went up 1 over 3, and our b was equal to then 0. All right, so now we need to plug it into the y is equal to mx plus b. So to write the equation, I have y is equal to, well, my slope here is 1/3. And remember, that goes with our variable, so x. And because my y-intercept is 0, I'm just going to leave this as a y is equal to 1/3 x. All right, so remember from our last problem that we had found the slope and the y-intercept here. And for this graph, our slope is negative 2 and our y-intercept is 4. So let's go ahead, and all we're going to do is we're just going to plug it in to the equation y is equal to mx plus b. So y is equal to, my slope is negative 2. I'm going to put that with the x. And since my y-intercept is 4, I'm going to have plus 4. I notice that none of these have a negative y-intercept. If I had a negative y-intercept, we're going to have a minus for that y when you go and put that into the slope-intercept equation. All right, so for our next one then, let's identify the slope and the y-intercept, and we did that in our last problem. So now we're just going to plug it in. Y is equal to, my slope is 4, and then because y-intercept is 0, I'm just going to leave it plain. And again, it's not wrong if you put the 0, but it's best if you don't. So for our next one, we identified our slope as -6 all over 4, and then we simplified to -3 all over 2. So again, we're just going to plug it in to our y is equal to -3 all over 2x plus 10. And again, if your y-intercept is negative, then you'd be putting a minus. All right.